Welcome to the Dose of Common Sense by Tech Files, where nothing is unreasonable and no sense of reasoning is left untouched. If common sense is so common, how come it seems like no one has it? Welcome. And we went high and fast on the first episode. Now we're going to do a slow crawl for the beginning of this one, unfortunately. And it all has to do with, that's right, kids, Apple. So, if you have an iCloud account, I bet you are wondering just exactly what in the hell is going on and why you can't access a backup or make a backup. Well, you haven't been alone. I've been in that same boat for the last day and a half, and apparently so are a lot of other folks. Apple is still investigating the cause, but they assure us that the problem will be resolved shortly. God, I hope so. Along the same lines from Apple, iOS 11, the public beta, has been issued for a couple of days now. How y'all doing with it? As for the iPad that I have the beta on right now, it is functioning normally. I have, however, had a couple of glitches, nothing major, so hope y'all are enjoying it as much as I am. Given the fact we actually have a file system to get our stuff off of now. So, something bad to something bad. Well, it's not really bad. It just depends on what the phone is. I know, little one. I know the phone is not a good one. Okay. You can shut up now. Thank you. Okay, so I don't know if anybody out there has had the G5. Probably a lot of you. Probably more than what they reasonably should have had. So the LG G5 has dropped to $250. LG's dropped to $250 on Amazon and B&H. That is for the unlocked version. You can go on to Amazon.com or BNHphoto.com and you can take advantage of that offer. I do have links to all the stories that are mentioned in this podcast in the show's description, so feel free and check up on that. Excuse me. Next up, BlackBerry. BlackBerry and their KeyOne. Actually, TCL is the one that makes that now. So, the BlackBerry KeyOne is a very, very, very good phone right now. The only particular problem that we have with the KeyOne as of right at this moment is availability. The KeyOne has been so popular, according to Jaime Rivera at Pocket Now, or no, I'm sorry, that's Jules Wan. Yeah. Welcome to that planet, guys. This is what happens when you have technical issues and try to do a podcast at 3 a.m. You will mess up on sources, believe me. This is why I have everything written down. Okay, let's try this one again. So, the KeyOne by BlackBerry has been delayed for its unlocked version in Canada. Main reason for that is high demand amongst carriers. It is a very popular device amongst carriers. Given the fact that it current lineup at most carriers, I can't really say that I blame anybody for that. If you put it alongside phones like the HTC U11, which just got released, so it's a little too soon to tell, and a lot of the other flagships on the market, with the only exception of that being the S8 and the S8 Plus, well, it's easy to see why the BlackBerry is as popular as it is right now. So, definitely understandable, a little bit regrettable. So, next up, it's our favorite phone, guys. The OnePlus 5. Yes, indeed. The most talked about phone that I have not owned in the last year. But a lot of you got it now. Or at least you should be getting it any day now. Here's the question. Is the OnePlus 5 waterproof? They say no, but according to a video published on YouTube, it is. Guys, just because I say that this phone is waterproof, do not try it, okay? If you value your phones as much as any of us tech geeks out here do, please do not test the waterproofness of your phone by putting your only daily driver in a glass of water for 20 seconds just to see if it can retain water integrity and not ruin your damn phone. Please don't do it. I've actually watched someone take a $1,000 phone and put it in the toilet, but then wondered why it broke. Common sense. There you go. That's why the show's titled Dose of Common Sense. So do me a favor. Don't try to test your phone for waterproofness, especially if you know for a fact, according to the manufacturer, that it don't provide for water protection. There you go. And next up, more Google stuff. Yeah, 2 major announcements. Actually, one major and one not so major. So, Google is now experimenting how to do advertising in virtual reality. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so those of us who have had virtual reality, I've taken a look at the Vive once, and it was a sight to behold. I will say that. But then again, not too long after that, I had a chance to play with the Gear VR, and it totally warped any illusion I had about virtual reality being the next big thing. I really don't like at least the original Gear VR. It wasn't that great of a device to behold. Now, the Vive, I would definitely like to go back into that particular world. So, anyway, Google is experimenting with how to do advertising in VR. Do me a favor, Google, please. I know that a lot of you are listening to this podcast. I love you. I know that you guys love to do advertising. Trust me, I would love to do nothing more than to advertise with you. But in this particular case, I would do minimal advertising with virtual reality, at least for right now. Or, here's a thought, if you're going to do virtual reality advertising, why don't you put a immersion-like commercial? You know, picture them driving the car, just like you used to do with, actually, I think you did do this with Need for Speed No Limits. Well, at least you didn't do it, but the inventors of the game did. What they proceeded to do was they did an advertisement and they put you behind the driver's seat. So if you're going to advertise on the car, why don't you do the same thing? I'm sure it'll reduce a lot of the pain that we would all feel about having to sit there and go through an advertisement. You know, if you, for example, advertise a trip to Vegas or a stay in a hotel, you know, just paint us in that particular room or put us on that particular ship. And, you know, if you're going to go VR or go home. That's my opinion with it. Dose of common sense. There you go. Now, from one questionable thing to another, which is not going to shock anybody. Somebody had a case of the crybabies over the week. Yes. We know. I know. And when you know it, it's Verizon, and they're crying over T-Mobile. Shut up. Thank you. So, T-Mobile had an outage last week. And in response, one of Verizon's executives, and I know this has been going on for years, but guys, you know, leave the Twitter fighting to those who can actually Twitter fight, and don't wade your tail into a bucket of Kool-Aid that you are not going to be able to swim out of. Given the fact that your company went down on the East Coast on the very same day. So T-Mobile had an outage, and Verizon decides, hey, we know our competitors had an outage. Let's go ahead and let's go after their customers, which they're in right mind to do. But if you're in a glass house, don't throw the first damn stone, okay? T-Mobile had an outage. Verizon's like, hey, if you want to call and actually get data, join T-Mobile. We have data every day. The only thing you have every day right now is finally a sense of reality, because you got an unlimited plan for the first time since God was a child. Too late for me and my bill, though. Thank you. I appreciate getting screwed. Anyway, my personal opinion. But if I'm right, on that particular day, I think all of you had malfunctions on the East Coast as far as service. So if you're in a glass house, don't throw the first stone, because the next thing you know, someone's going to dump a dump truck on your house and it's going to be in pieces. Then again, it wouldn't be the first time you stuck your foot in your mouth, Verizon. So, way to go on that stupid little tweet. Like I said, leave the Twitter fighting to those that can handle it. And a lot of us don't care. So, speaking of phone companies and phone carriers, and we've all been hoping and praying that T-Mobile and Sprint would merge. Some of us, anyway. All of a sudden, though, somebody decides, hey, let's put this all on hold. So the Sprint and T-Mobile informal talks have been, that's right, kids, they've been placed on hold. Here's the reasoning for this. Sprint and Comcast, what the hell? Yep. Comcast and Charter are on an exclusive 2-month negotiation. Guys, you can't even do cable properly. What makes you two think that you can do a phone service? I mean, this is like placing the blind with the blind with the blind. You're going to run into a wall. This is my personal opinion, and probably the opinion of a lot of those listening to me. Let the people that know how to do phone service merge with the people that know how to do phone service. And by the way, AT&T, your little merger with DirecTV, is in the middle of sucking air. That's probably the reason why you're going after Time Warner for $80 billion. This doesn't make sense. That's why I'm here. Anyway, Sprint is under a 60-day exclusivity negotiation with Comcast and Charter. My guess is they're going to try to lease spectrum from Sprint in order to become a bigger and better mobile virtual network operator, or an MVNO, such like Metro PCS is with T-Mobile, and Boost and their insane iPhone-only plan is with Sprint. Well, actually, the iPhone plan is not with Boost. The iPhone-only plan is with Virgin Mobile, as I reported earlier. Like I said, Comcast and Charter, leave Sprint alone. Go after somebody better. Go after somebody with more spectrum. You guys cannot run a cable company, much less a phone service. Blind, blind, and blind still equal blind. You're going to back yourselves into a brick wall. Let's just hope when you do it, you don't destroy your entire company. Oh, I'm sorry. You're too big for that. Anyway, welcome to that planet. And I'm guessing, nope. I was hoping for some good news in the interim to keep everyone sane and clear, but one of the stories I was talking about, Google, has decided to appear again. The European Union and the Commission has put a $2.7 billion fine on Google. That's right, $2.7 billion for some anti-competitive clause, I do believe. Here's my take on this whole thing. It's basically the fact that Google is an American company. The European Union can only collect so much tax. We do know that there are Google companies located, or Google offices located in Europe. However, they cannot collect as much tax from them as they would love to. And thanks to Brexit, which we trumped you there, haha, yeah. Thanks to Brexit, you're hurting for cash. Who are you going to go after? Of course, Google. Didn't you do this with Microsoft in the 90s and got absolutely slapped in the face? We'll see what happens on that one. I would not put too much stock in the fact that Google's going to have to pay all of that fine. I'm willing to bet that it's going to be a whole lot less. So, next thing, oh, this is just full of good stuff tonight. I've actually been waiting to talk to you about this one for a couple of days now. The Galaxy Note FE, that's right, the Galaxy Note, quote-unquote, Fandom Edition, is going to be released on July 7th. Is it coming to the US? No, it's too explosive for that. No, I'm just kidding. The Galaxy Note 7 is going to be released on July 7th. At least the Fandom Edition, anyway. And then you're going to sit there, and 2 months later, you're going to announce and probably launch relatively close to each other the Note 8. Why are you wasting your time with the Note 7 Refurb Edition? Here's my take on this. The Galaxy Note 7 came out not too long before IFA last year, which was in September. Last of August, 1st of September. If I'm wrong on this, correct me. You put a recall about the same day that IFA was beginning. Worldwide recall, the largest ever, I think it was like 2.2 million phones were included in this recall. It took over a month and a half, almost 2 months to complete. And then you had to recall the entire line and shut it down within 2 weeks to 3 weeks after that. Okay, so you lost, and I'm going to say on the low side, probably $7 billion in that venture, and probably more. Why are you going to go back to that? Well, I understand that it was a popular phone. I understand a lot of us loved the phone, myself included, RIP. Why are you bringing this phone back literally less than, and I mean less than 60 days, roughly about 45 days before you're going to announce the 8? No one's going to touch this phone. No one's going to buy this phone. If you sell over 1 million units in Europe, consider it a win. Because Europe, as far as I recall, I don't think you guys ever saw the Note 7. I might have been wrong on this. Anyone in Europe that is listening to this and you have an argument on the other side of this, please email me, show@techfilesmedia.com. I'll be more than happy to put that correction out over air. Which reminds me, if you do need to contact me, or you have any questions, or want advice on how to treat your phone, feel free to email me at show@techfilesmedia, TEKFILESMEIDA, or MEDIA, I'm sorry, I can't spell either, .com, show@techfilesmedia.com. Any questions, comments, business opportunities, whatever, send all inquiries to that email address. I promise you I will respond as soon as possible. Everything is still under construction and still on schedule. Hopefully the full website should be online, I would say by the middle, well, probably by the end of this week, hopefully. So let's just hope on that. Cross your fingers. So Note FE will be on July 7th. Does anybody plan on buying this phone? Does anybody plan on trying to import this phone into the United States or buy this phone for any of my listeners over in Europe? I'm going to tell you this now. If you do, I'm going to be surprised given the fact that the FE will launch on July 7th and the Note 8, as I recall, the announcement date on that is supposed to be August 26th. So you're less than 60 days out. So if anyone plans on buying it, feel free to email me. I would love to know why. And by the way, I have gotten emails. We do have a little bit of space here. I do have got emails telling me what some people's daily drivers are. And a lot of you happen to like the new LG G6. I do too. My wife happens to own one. It is the Arctic Silver, or at least the equivalent thereof. The only thing that I wish she actually had the quad DAC on it. The digital audio converter on the original model, the one that was not released in the States because they had to put in I'm not even getting into it. It is actually working. The original model with the DAC was killer. The one that she has right now is a good one, but the only reason that I did not get that same phone was because it didn't have the quad DAC. The S8 Plus doesn't have the quad DAC either, but the S8 Plus does have Bluetooth 5, which means that I can actually stream audio to not one but two Bluetooth devices, which is great. So that works for me. So anyway, had a little bit of a failure here. So does anybody either plan on getting the KeyOne, or do you plan on getting the G5 that dropped to $250 on Amazon? I'm going to give you my best advice on the G5. Don't touch the G5. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't even think about it. People hated this phone. It came out at MWC last year. I would say March, I do believe. And I don't think I'm wrong on that one. And it actually looked like a phone that was made of metal. And it was made of metal. The problem is you had a big, thick coat of primer put on it, and it gave it a plastic cheap feel to the phone. If you're interested in the G5, if you have a carrier, go to the carrier and get a finance deal from it. Put that $250 down and get a G6. Your payments are only going to be probably, I would say, less than $20 a month. If you're really, really stuck on getting an unlocked version of a phone, check out Amazon. Don't go after the G5. There's plenty of phones that are available on Amazon right now, and they're all good quality. And for the $250 price range that the G5 is going for, you can get a phone, and I'm going to even go this far. You can get a phone in that same year for just as much money and probably even a better phone. So that's my particular solution to that problem. Yes, we know, we do. It's getting to be about that time, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yes, I know you're laughing about the G5. Okay, awesome. All right, folks, that will wrap it up for this evening. I am so glad that you stopped by to listen to the show, and I'm glad that you have gotten your dose of common sense for Thursday, June 29th, 2017. Thank you for joining us at the Tech Files Dose of Common Sense, where nothing is unreasonable and no reasoning is left untouched. And don't forget, if the world is supposed to be full of common sense, how come it seems like no one has any? Guys, if you need to contact me, please do so by email at show@techfilesmedia.com or follow me on Twitter at techfiles, TEKFILES. We will be broadcasting next. Either it will be broadcasting on Friday night into Saturday morning. You will have that podcast ready to go by the time you wake up on Saturday. And hopefully, maybe one more before then. Not entirely sure. Trying to actually get a guest for you. And as far as I know right now, yep, I wanted to make sure and double check on that iCloud access issue. They are still working on that. Right now, I can't even access iCloud from where I'm at. So let's just hope that it is back operational shortly. And if it does, and if I do get any more on this evening, I will update the show notes, and I will even try to put out an additional, maybe 2 or 3 minute announcement. I'm not quite sure on that. Depends on certain factors on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the Tech Files Dose of Common Sense this evening. I appreciate you coming in and listening. And I also thank you for your support. We can be found on Google Play Music, Stitcher, iTunes. We can be found on, I do believe, yes, we are actually now on TuneIn Radio, which you can reach at tunein.com. I also have a Patreon page. That location is patreon.com/techfiles. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining this podcast. My name is Ed Modlin, and we will talk to you all later. Stay classy.